I'm bored! Entertain me.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name's Corporal Killjoy, and as always, to kill your boredom brings me a lot of joy. Welcome to a brand new type of video I'm doing today. For those of you who know and watch my channel, you know that I'm really into RWBY and anime, and I know I've said I'm gonna get Red vs. Blue videos up, but I'm almost finishing catching up where I left off at. But anyway, more onto this channel. It's called RWBY, and there's a segment on there called Man at Arms. And I remember when I first came across these guys was back in 2013. And I remember when the old school scrolling on YouTube with Xbox 360, it showed a real-life Keyblade being made, and then when you had the original Smith up there named Tony Swanton. If you don't know who Tony Swanton is, he's responsible for creating some of the best weapons we've ever seen in cinema history. He's made all the swords for Zorro, Blade, Troy, I believe he's responsible for too, and in Thor. And he built everything by hand, which is pretty cool. And then back in 2015 or 2014, he left it off to some new guys over at Baltimore Knife and Sword. And they do some pretty amazing work too. And for the longest time, a lot of people, including myself, have been requesting some type of RWBY related build. And I knew that if they ever went with any build, it was definitely going to be Weiss's Myrtenaster sword, because of the fact that it's such a simple design. You know, it looks like a rapier, but one thing I noticed about her weapon, because it's not a it's not a smooth double-edged blade, it actually has four corners to it. It's more like a Chinese sword breaker. So if you guys don't know what that is, I'll leave a link in the description below so you can go check out what a Chinese sword breaker is. But nonetheless, you know, so it's like a combination of a rapier and a rapier, however you guys want to say it, and a Chinese sword breaker. But I'm really interested to see how they do this. And I'm pretty sure they also make the cylinder where she keeps all her dust rotate too. They did that with Squall's gunblade, which is pretty cool. It didn't fire. But yeah, so I knew that, you know, this weapon was going to be the first one to do it. If they were to build anything else, the only ones I could really honestly picture them building is, you know, Jean's shield and sword from his great-grandfather. Or was it his great-great-grandfather? I forget. Nora's hammer. And Pyrrha's shield and sword too. And if they could, I'm pretty sure they could make RWBY's scythe. They just wouldn't be able to shoot. And I'm pretty sure they could easily make Crow's weapon, and also make Blake's weapon too. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into this. I'm really excited to see this, and I mean, already this got released earlier or yesterday. It's over 500,000 views, and I just want to critique that. I'm flipping out right now. Like, I'm just fanboying right now so bad. So, without further ado, let's jump into this, everybody. Oh, God. Look at all the requests. Holy shit. Yeah, everybody wants to see this. Oh, God. This is going to be a badass build. I'm pretty sure they're going to get the etching around the guard as well.
I'm Matt. I'm Carrie. We are the Stagmer Brothers of Baltimore Knife and Sword.
If you guys are actually in Baltimore, they're not too far from me, actually, then.
Some weapons that you've never seen before.
This is Man
They're going to get
Reforged.
They're going to get so many more RWBY requests after
Ever
this.
since we began the show, you guys have been begging for a RWBY build.
Yep.
There's a lot of really complex weapons, and most of them are really cool, and they're kind of hybrid weapons that change and do multiple things. The one we chose to start with is Weiss Schnees Rapier. This is a sword / revolver.
Can't wait for Volume 5.
Dust that does all kinds of different stuff, and luckily I'm not in charge of figuring that out. What I'm going to start with is drawing the flanges that have to be engraved. Carrie wants to do it first on the CNC engraver to just trace in those lines, and then Bob's going to go in and cut them much deeper by hand.
I got to learn how to do some of this stuff.
Blade. It's going to have a lot of different elements to it, but for now, let's get to drawing.
The patience you have to have
All right,
when forging weapons.
Looks awesome. So this will be the line drawing that Carrie's going to work from to do the engraving. Now let's go ahead and just draw the flanges real quick.
What we're going to do, since we're forging this piece from a 1-inch piece of square 1080 steel, I'm going to be using the lathe with a center drill to set a hole in the back side of the bar that's going to be forged into the blade on this rapier. The bolt will go down inside of the cylinder of the sword and we'll pull this blade into place. The reason for that is that we don't have a long tang because we've got a cylinder there that's got to be able to rotate and it has to be able to break open. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this on the lathe, drill that center,
And
drill down into it.
the complexity of even building and forging a regular sword, there's so much that goes into it.
As possible, the threads can be.
I didn't know that at first when I was younger. I thought it was just like a simple, you know, forging of steel, but no, it's a lot of complex parts to it.
To forge our rapier,
Fucking love Ilya.
Ilya's gonna start from some round stock.
When I saw him in Forged in Fire, I
taper,
fanboyed like a
and then start
motherfucker.
beveling. Even though this blade may seem to be
Glad he
quite
won
simple to
too.
forge,
Spoiler.
it's kind of tricky. He's got to start from a square cross-section up by the guard and taper it out to a diamond. So he's going to do some of this on the power hammer, then move to the anvil and lay in some of those bevels by hand. I'll have to then true everything up on the grinder.
I just know this is gonna look like fucking amazing when it's fucking completed. I just wonder how many times, you know, they screw up and we don't see it on camera. Hopefully not a lot.
I'm going to be using the plasma table to cut the side plates for the sword. They actually are structural in this piece. They're going to hold the entire assembly. I'll have to cut and put a pivot into one, and then the locking mechanism for the entire thing will come in through the backside of the pommel to hold everything in place. I'm going to start by cutting 4 of these sections. Then once we get them finished, we'll clean them up, we'll engrave them, and we'll start assembling the entire sword.
I've always wanted to take up smithing. But I was living in New York at the time, so I didn't know where to look. Probably could have just Googled it, but doubt I would have found anything close by to where I lived. Oh, God, it looks so fucking amazing already. Doesn't look like it has the square point like it would in the show, so it looks like they're actually making it like an actual rapier. Who knows, maybe it'll be better that way. If they could do the actual square one, I think that'd be more true to the show. Oh, but what can you do, man? These guys are professionals.
Okay, for our RWBY sword build, you can see that Carrie's gone and cut these side plates out on the plasma cutter, and they still have a little bit of a rough finish on the outside surface, so I'm going to go ahead on our 180 grit belt here. I'm going to go ahead and start to smooth them out a little bit in order to get them ready for the next stage of finishing.
Oh God.
While Carrie's figuring out the rest of the machining done on this build, I forged out the blade. Now, I had to take great care of not squashing the hole which will attach itself to the rest of the mechanism. So I left it at 1 inch square. This transition is a little bit awkward. When the angles are so steep, beveling a blade, you don't have enough force to move the material in on itself, and you're just pushing your billet to the side, skating on the anvil. This gives Matt more material to show his skill in making a nice transition between a square and a standard diamond.
I was gonna say, if they were to get anybody to test this weapon, they should get Arnold,
All I've done
aka Murder Bird, to do this. Because he would, oh God, he'd probably jizz his pants if he could use
Go ahead and
this.
smooth out the transition from our square gun barrel shape into our blade shape. You can see right here I got some material I gotta remove. Ilya's already established the nice diamond cross section and the bevels by hand hammering. So it's really gonna make my job easier. I'm just gonna follow the lines that he's already put into this blade, true everything up, then we'll be able to move on to heat treating. But before we do that, we're gonna have to make sure Carrie threads this hole that he drilled earlier, because if we tried to do that after heat treat, we're just gonna break the tab right off because this material will be too hard.
Yeah, so what I learned from watching these videos, being a smith is actually pretty complex.
It's 5/8 11. I've got a brand new cutter. Got some tapping oil. Tap Magic does a really good job. And the 1080 that this was made out of, Ilya's heat cycled down to make sure it's as soft as possible for me. And I've run a correct size reamer down through it, so I know I've got the proper clearance. I put a little extra oil at the top of the piece And what happens is, as the cutter goes down, it'll pick up a little bit of that oil and take it down into the hole with it as it goes. It's going to give me a pretty big grade 8 bolt that's going to be pulling this blade up into the barrel section.
I also love all the techniques these guys do and
Now that the
incorporate.
blade has been ground most of the way to shape, Carrie has the threaded section added. It's time to heat treat. He has to start by getting the thicker part heated up first. Once that's the temperature, he'll flip it around, get the rest of the blade to heat, and then move to the oil for the quench.
I don't know anything about it. Ilya could probably cosplay as Dr. Ooblik if his hair wasn't so goddamn long. Actually doesn't look half bad. I know they flattened it out, which actually, you know, I'm gonna have to look at the Myrtenaster sword more closely from the show now.
Alright, at this point our blade has been rough ground. It's also been heat treated and tempered. You can see it stayed pretty nice and true. But I got a little bit of edge wandering, and that's from my grind. Normally you just see me eyeball my edge straightness, but I want to show you guys a little technique you can use to make sure your edge doesn't warble. And that's just by clamping it in a vise, using a file, and skating along the edge. Now, obviously the blade is hard, so it's not gonna really bite in a lot, but it'll just grab those little peaks. It'll do a good job, make everything nice and flat, and then I'll move on to doing the rest of the grinding and polish this thing out.
The engraving on the side plates is going to be something we're going to either do by hand, or maybe we'll do a deeper cut with this machine later on. But initially, so we can see what we're doing,
They should do like an electric etch
mark on the surface
for the marks
I'm gonna
around
use
the
a
guard.
diamond scribe. I've taken a small diamond tip out of one of my regular engraving machines. It's spring loaded. It's going to go down, scribe across the surface of this piece, and the diamond will
Or
leave a deep gouge
they can do that.
in the entire pattern on the surface of the piece.
Yeah, because, you know, watching the show, I always noticed her weapon was like a complete square that just got thinner and thinner. Because, you know, a rapier has always been a thrusting weapon rather than a slashing weapon.
Matt will now go
So they
to
kind of
grind
make it into a
blend
combination of both a
transitions
thrusting and
where the
slasher.
material was already square into the section where Ilya has forged the blade.
But hell, if it looks awesome, it looks awesome. I'm pretty sure the real Weiss Schnees would definitely love to use this weapon. Oh, I know I would. Shit.
Now I know you guys are used to seeing Ilya do most of the engraving by hand, which is excellent. We all love that work. But there are a lot of different flanges. Each one has to be engraved on 2 different sides. So we're gonna do this using a pneumatic hand engraver. Bob studied and learned how to do this. It's gonna be a little quicker than doing it by hand, showing a whole new process you guys haven't seen. Should be pretty awesome.
Whoa, what the fuck is that? Oh, that looks so fucking cool. What is that? Oh, you gotta... Oh, he's gotta use a... You gotta use like a super magnifying glass just to see it. Damn, dude.
So the part that I'm going to be making on the lathe is fairly simple, but it's pretty crucial in this case. We'll be cutting a step here. This will be turned into the frame. We're also going to have to bore a hole through the center. It's actually where the blade is going to sit tight up against it. On the opposite side, this cylinder finished out is going to sit up tight against it. The barrel is going to lock to it, and all of the outside pieces that get engraved that hold the whole sword together, everything comes back to this small round piece.
I wonder what the cosplayer who's going to use this weapon looks like. And for those of you who don't know or are not familiar with these guys, when they test weapons, they usually get a cosplayer represent from where the weapon has come from. So if it's from a video game, it'll get the video game character, or even if it's an anime character, they get the anime character to do it. But God, if they would have gotten Arnold Delgado, aka Murderverse, to wield this thing, it would have been an amazing
finish
video.
up on the blade. Later, we'll scotch
Who knows? Maybe they did. I mean, I just don't know it yet. Oh God, that actually looks pretty damn cool. Okay, I was thinking that, something would be more true to the show, but that actually looks pretty awesome. You can tell they're definitely putting a lot of, attention to detail with this one.
I'm going to be making this handle out of a solid piece of steel. I'm using solid only because I've got a 5/8 hole down the center, and I want to be able to have that drawbar have a lot of support where I'm working. It's about 6 inches overall. I'm going to cut it right here on the lathe. So it's going to go 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch, 1.4. It's an organic form, so we're going to sweep in and make that cut.
If they're going to incorporate the trigger
too. Give me an absolutely straight taper, and that wouldn't be very pleasing to the eye.
Now, for those of you who don't know, a completely circular handle is actually bad because when you're using it, it causes the weapon to roll. So most of the time, handles are actually better off when they're more like an oval shape. It gives you a better grip. Yeah, Carrie, do your damn thing. That looks awesome.
Carrie's got done turning our handle for our rapier for Ruby. I'm going to go ahead now, clean up all the lathe marks on it. Once I get this done, I'm going to hand it off to Matt so he can add that spiral to the grip.
I love the music they got with this too.
One of the most important parts of this rapier build is the revolving cylinder. We have to mill this out just like you would see in a revolver, with 6 equal holes spaced correctly. Carrie's going to use an indexing machine to move to the CNC.
I thought Weiss's Myrtenaster only had 4.
Our elemental powder that will later shoot out our barrel.
I thought there's only 4. I could be wrong though. And the holes get bigger and bigger each time. The amount of attention to detail you need on this is fucking incredible.
We use this small knife edge wheel for doing detail work. In this case, Matt's going to lay in the spirals that go all the way up this tapered handle. What I'm going to be doing now is I've got to drill and hide the spring down inside. It's going to be in line with the firing mechanism that's actually in the backside here. I've put a small drill bit in that hole so that I've got the angle. I'm matching that primarily so that when the spring comes out the other side, it's as high on the hammer as possible, giving us the most power. I'm going to go ahead and cut that in so it cuts in on the angle, and then I'll come back in with a drill once I know it'll go straight from there and go right on in. No dust rapier is complete
without all the dust colors in the chambers of the cylinder. So we've already begun to paint some of them in. We're going to take a special lithochrome paint and we're going to fill these areas and finish these
wow, they even
off
etched out
so the
patterns
Myrtenaster
around
has
the
all
dust. That's pretty
it
cool.
needs. We'll start applying the paint in the center of the area and push it out to the sides as opposed to running the brushes down the sides first. This way we can fill it up and get a nice, even, consistent level as opposed to trying to get in those edges first and have it go over top and have to have extra cleanup.
It's so fucking amazing.
So now we have our hammer
Now
functional,
comes the
we have our
assembling.
spring in place, the entire piece is put together. The cylinder which sets in here has been painted and engraved. When it closes up,
Oh, that is
it'll
awesome.
lock that in place. This is a retaining bar that's holding our spring. What we've done to set the power to make sure that we can strike it hard enough is we've shortened this spring over and over again, reached down and pulled it through. It retains the hammer. The hammer
Oh, they
is
got
on
the
a
trigger
pivot
too.
that's part of the handle. You can see that's the pivot that holds the hammer. That'll come down, strike our cap, which has the small charge in it, set off the charge in this chamber.
Oh my
The power,
god,
which
it
is
actually
inside the
shoots!
cylinder that rotates with different colors,
Oh,
is then forced
yo,
out the
you
end,
guys are men at
and
arms,
that
you guys are a
should
bunch of
rotate
mad
up
scientists,
and
you
out,
know
right
that?
up. Drawbar goes down the center, all the way through. That's what locks the blade in. Everything should function the way we need it to.
So we've done most of the engraving on the cylinder, we've done the painting. Sometimes we have to play hot potato in the builds, pass things back and forth. We still have one more engraving to do, so we're going to finish that up now.
Oh yeah, the real Weiss Schnees would fucking die for this weapon. Did I say weapon?
I knew when we started this build there were going to be a lot of intricate parts. Swords from anime and other types of drawings.
We'll see what the final product looks like, boys.
When you create them in the physical world, and it's really great how the.
Oh, and I can't wait for Volume 5. We're less than 2 weeks. Holy shit! They actually did it. My god. I take back what I said about it, hoping it would look more true to the show. That is an awesome piece right there, and it is going to fuck some Grim up. Okay. Not too thrilled about the cosplayer, but oh well. Hot like a hot knife through butter. No, you're supposed to use it with one hand. It's a one-handed blade. Use one hand. Cut though. There we go. One hand. Oh, that is awesome. Each cylinder shoots.
Click here to subscribe, or click here to.
Alright, everybody, so that was Man at Arms, Weiss Schnees Myrtenaster. So, I had my doubts about it when they weren't making it true to the show, but, after the final piece was made, they just look incredible. And I hope they do more RWBY weapons. And the only ones, honestly, I could see them building next would be Jean's, Pyrrha's, Nora's, and maybe even, RWBY's Scythe and Blake's weapons as well. But I'm trying to think of what other weapons they could build. I'm pretty sure they could build Port's, gun axe, whatever it may be called, if they really wanted to. But I think they're going for more more realistic builds. But they could do Adam's katana, which is they've done katanas in the past. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, AMI, it stands for Amaze, Wow, and Educate, which they do on their channel. I'm glad Man at Arms is part of that. And another side note I want to make, some of you might notice I'm still rocking this pink bandana. For those of you who don't know why I'm doing this, is because the month of October is recognized as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I'm showing my support by wearing this, and I also wear this to work, just not around my head. I wear it around my left arm. If you're going to represent something and you do one of the armbands, make sure you always wear it around your left arm, because your left arm, right above the bicep, that's the closest to your heart. So that's why you see a lot of times there's even logos, or when the American flag is on someone's uniform, or any type of award they have on the uniform, the color blue, which is the senior color, is always closest to the heart. So a little fun fact right there. If you guys want to help, you know, fight breast cancer or show your support, I'm going to leave a link down to a website for different ways you can show your support and how you can help out. Or if you want to show your support, you know, wear a pink ribbon, you know, or pink bandana, or just wear something pink in general. You know, you don't have to, you know, wear it around your head. You can just do whatever. And what do you call it? I think that's about it. If I would recommend any weapon I want to see built on Man-at-Arms, I've always wanted to see like a full set of Spartan armor, like, you know, not just from the movie 300. You know, I want to see like the actual body armor itself, because they build Urza's body armor and sword from Fairy Tail. Yeah, that's about it. If you guys enjoyed this video, as always, like, share, and subscribe. Leave your thoughts in the comments down in the section below. And just remember, we have our Loot Crate giveaway going on. If you guys want to check out that video, I'll leave that in the end of the video. And you can see my brother what we unboxed. We got both crates, regular Loot Crate and Loot Crate DX. It was a pretty good haul, and we're giving away prizes. If you guys want to see how you can enter in for a chance to win, we give instructions in the video, but I'm just going to give it to you right now. We're doing it for people who have already subscribed to the channel, any new subscribers after the video has been posted up after a week, anybody who is a Patreon pledge, but we already chose a winner for that because we only have one Patreon pledge, and for those of us who follow on Twitter and leave out a tweet to us, we give instructions on that too. So yeah, that's about it, guys. It's really late. I gotta get this video up, so yeah, that's about it. I got more RWBY related content coming up. Volume 5 is less than 2 weeks away, and we also got, you know, more RWBY Chibi in this month too. So thanks again, guys, and you guys have a great night. Later.